Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So for today's video, we're doing James Turner's 4x4 challenge. So basically it's 4x4 square and there's going to be two of them. So you do have two floors that you need to deal with. You could always put stairs outside or something, but since we have ladders and from what I've seen most people doing, might as well take advantage of the ladders and use them on the inside. It makes for a bit of an additional challenge, I guess you could say. Now you can see here I'm fiddling a lot with the bathroom. I decided right before I started the challenge that I wanted to do it with a 2x2 bathroom. It is very possible, it just takes away some more of the floor space, I guess you could say. But as you can see, I'm working right now on the bedroom, and I decided to go with a very dark palette. I thought for some reason the dark might help, but I think it ends up looking pretty good actually. Generally, people will go for a lot of white when doing a small house, but as you can see there, I was just testing the house, making sure that everything works. I cut most of it out, but just so you see that everything is player tested and everything does work by the end of it. The bathroom will actually end up getting flipped again, just to make it a bit more, I don't know, it just flowed better after I changed it. So the reason I went with a darker instead of white is because I feel like everyone always does white when it's a small house, makes it look like you have more space and whatnot. So I wanted the additional challenge of trying to use like very dark furniture to try to make it work. And I think it ends up pretty good looking, I would say. Now with the windows, I don't know. I like this door and window combination, so I really wanted to go for that. And for the back, I wanted one very long window. There's going to be a bit more privacy back there regardless. So I do end up using some trees, as you can see, to block off the walls. I was really debating on how to do the outside of it, just because it was a matter of like, I don't want it to be just four flat walls, basically. So even that pergola, I guess you could call it, I end up changing it a bit. It just seemed a bit flat as well. So there is going to be a lot of greenery at the end of it. I do end up going to the debug menu as well, which again, once we get there, you'll see that I cut a lot of it out. So there I was just experimenting a bit with the outside. Which colors do I want? Do I want it to have like a pop out with a wall or something? And it didn't really work. So this color scheme that you see going on here after I decide whichever roof it is that it is the color scheme that is going to be used for the end of it. So I don't change it anymore on the outside, but I do still have a lot of debates on the inside. So as I mentioned, I played around a lot with the windows. I tried to see what would work and what wouldn't. So the point of this challenge is basically you have 32 tiles in total, which if you have the tiny living pack is going to be considered a micro home. So the challenge of it is, can you make this work so you get all of the micro home benefits? Now, when James Turner was doing this challenge, he only used base game and eco living, I believe, or eco lifestyle, sorry. So you can make it a very green house. I, on my end, don't have any of those packs. So I was just like, well, it doesn't really matter what kind of footprint I have, just because it's not going to make any impact on the game itself. But if you have tiny living, you will get the benefits of a micro home. And if you have eco lifestyle, there's plenty of room to put solar panels or wind turbines or whatever it is that you really want to put in there. So as you can see, I'm really struggling here with the colors that I want. I think I end up choosing that orange that's right there. And it's a very small space, but somehow it felt very empty, even though there was furniture all over the place. Oh yeah, I was re-putting the desk there because I had closed Sims, and when I opened it back up, I didn't have move objects on. And my desk had disappeared. So just as a side note, if anyone wants to download this house, always remember to have move objects on. You never know if a creator is going to have move objects on while they're making the house or not. So there's a lot of times where you'll go back in and it's like, oh, a door is missing. I wonder why. So here is the part that I mentioned where I ended up changing that bit of pergola. I believe James Turner also had a kind of fake balcony that looked like that, but it makes it look better, so I thought I might as well go for it as well. And there's a lot of mirrors upstairs with that wall, but I thought it would end up matching. There is a mirror in the bathroom as well, but if you have two Sims here and they both need to work on charisma, for example, it will cause issues. So I thought, why not just add some mirrors up there? Um, yeah, I ended up liking that blue shade a lot. It's not one that I use much. I believe that one is stucco, I think. If it's not stucco, it's one of those just basic blue colors, but I really liked it. So here, I tried putting a radio there, but it's gonna end up moving positions. I ended up realizing that stereos don't work if you size them down. So it's not so much of the placement, probably, it was more of the sizing down, but either way, I ended up moving it. I struggle a lot with the rugs as well. I ended up putting the same circular rugs that I've been putting pretty much everywhere. I don't know, I like layering them on. I feel like it looks a bit more fun. And yeah, like that wall, for example, it felt like it was empty, even though you don't necessarily need to have something on every wall. It was just feeling a bit empty to me. And here in the kitchen is again where I mentioned just like trying to make it black. The walls do end up being white. Most of them are white at least. But I felt like the black gave it a bit more character, I guess. I would like a black kitchen actually. I think it's interesting. Same with the bathroom. So in general, I just struggled a lot here as well because I wanted it to have open shelving, but there's not a lot of clutter in base game. If I'll probably do it one day. I do have a lot of custom content as well that I take off the game to build the houses just to make it more accessible for everyone. And that planter I'm gonna have to take off at the end. The stairs actually are inaccessible. But with custom content, you just have a lot more options if you only have base game, and there's a lot of really amazing EA match content out there. And one of them in particular, I believe it's the Kitchen Pack or something like that it's called. It has clutter items for the kitchen, obviously, and there's a lot of like loose plates and stuff that you can use. I feel like that would have really completed the look in that kitchen. But that was all the clutter that you have with base game, so I ended up using that. I did put a little shelf there in the bathroom as well. I was wondering if it would work out or not, but I kind of like it. A lot of people end up having a sort of shelving system behind their toilets, at least here in Canada they do. It's pretty common. So I thought, why not put a little shelf there? And yeah, the window being behind the toilet is kind of weird, but it was the only place that it really made sense. And I end up fixing the access to the sink because it doesn't work at the moment. But by the time it's downloaded, yes, you can use it. So here is when I went into the debug menu actually, and I forgot that they had cars that you could use. So I thought, why not make a little like car porch? So it's more of like a pergola instead of a closed garage, I guess you could say. I don't know, I like the look of this better instead of closing it up and making it a full-on garage and being basically more floor space that will count towards the tiny home. So with this, you should still be at 32 tiles. It should not matter because here I actually removed the flooring in the middle. So none of that should be counting if you are wanting to download this as a micro home. Now here I would like to say we're getting close to the end, but there's still a good while before I'm done. And it's mainly because I spent a lot of time landscaping it. Now I ended up making here like some, I guess planters, you could call them planters. See, just outlining them with some fencing, and I thought that would really complete the look of the house. Now, the walls themselves, I didn't add much to them except that little pergola at the front, but I felt like it didn't look as flat just by adding like all of these plants in front of it and making it very lush, at least at this front area. In the back, we're going to do something very different. Now, I did mention that I cut out a lot of the debug, so it's probably going to be a little skip by the time we get there. But this whole area, that chair, I was actually surprised that it works. I thought that the fencing might be cutting it off, but it wasn't. And I found these little hanging planters in the debug menu. I wish that they were like items you could just place normally without having to access debug, because they're very nice looking. There's like 3 different ones, I want to say. And then here, I just tried to make it look like there were like vines growing around the house with the debug items. And yeah, that was the skip right there. So I found a pond that you can actually fish with. And I found all these rocks also in the debug menu. So they didn't add to the price of the house. But the house does end up being more than base game. So it's not a starter home by any means. So now we're just gonna jump into the screenshots, and I hope you enjoyed this house, and let me know what you think down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.